Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss about offset function of Excel. So the offset function of Excel has five parameters: reference, rows, columns, height and width, out of which the height and width are the optional parameters, whereas the reference, rows and columns are the compulsory parameters. So what is reference? Reference means the base address. The base address means the address, the cell number from where we will refer other rows and columns. So it is the base address, that is the base cell value. Okay. Now what are rows? Rows means the number of rows I want to move up and down from my reference cell. So if my reference cell is B4, then what are the number of rows I want to move up, or what are the number of rows I want to move down? So if I move upwards, then it will be a negative value. Sorry about that. It will be a negative value. So for example, if I am on cell A5 and I say move two rows up, then I will say -2. And if I want to move downwards, then it will be a positive value, that is +2, +5. These are the positive values. Now what does column means? Column means what are the number of columns I want to move left or right from my reference cell. So it could be left or it could be right. If I'm moving towards left, then it is a negative value. If I say move two columns left of my current column, then it will be a negative value. And if I move right, then it will be a positive value. So if I say I want to move two columns right of my current cell, so it will be +2 and it will be -2 if I move towards the left. Now, for example, if I'm on cell A5 and I say move two columns to the left, now there are no two columns to the left. That is the first column in the sheet itself. In that case it will return a error. So we can't go beyond the sheet limits. So if we go beyond the sheet limits, then it gives us a error. Now what is height and width? Height is the number of rows that you want to return. So if I say from move two columns to the left, and when you reach that cell, return me 5 rows. So height will represent the number of rows to return when I reach the cell. Okay. And what does width mean? Width means when you reach the cell I have asked you to reach, the number of columns you have to return. So number of columns to return. Okay, so I hope this formula is clear now. So reference was base address. Rows means the number of rows I want to move up or down. If I have to move up, then it will be a negative value. If I have to move down, then it will be a positive value. Similarly, columns means the number of columns I have to move left or right from my current column. If I am moving left, then it will be negative value, and if I'm moving right, then it will be a positive value. And we can't go beyond the limits of the sheet. If we go beyond the limits, then it will return us a error. Now what is height? Height means when I reach that particular row and column which I have specified, then from that column the number of rows I want to get. So the number of rows to return. And what is width? It means when I reach the specific cell, what are the number of columns I want to receive. So that is the number of columns to return. So this is the description of the formula. Now let's move to an example so that you can understand in real life how does this formula apply. Now we have an example over here. We have three subjects: physics, chemistry, maths. For each subject, there were three terms: term 1, term 2, and the final exam. And we have five students, and the scores these five students scored in each term for each subject. Now, what I want is I want the total term 1 score, total term 2 score, and the total final score scored by each of the five students. Now, there are different ways to do this, but today we are going to see how we can do this using the offset. I click the cell, I enter offset. Now, what is my reference cell? My reference is cell B3 because that is where I find my first value. Okay, then I say comma. Do I want to move any number of rows? No, I'm just moving column wise because my next value is in column F and cell 3. So it is in, in column F and row 3. So it is, my value is in cell F3. So my row remains the same. I don't have to change my row. So I say 0, don't move my row, comma, but move my columns. So I want to move my column by 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And I don't want any height or any width. So I can just skip it altogether. Now I get 60. But what I want is, I want 50 plus 60 plus 75. So how do I do it? I say B3 plus the formula I just wrote plus offset. Again the same reference B3, comma. My row is not changing, so 0 for row. And for column, I say my next value is in cell J3. So that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will be my eighth column from my reference cell. And I get 185. So let's just check for calculation purpose. So 50 plus 60 plus 75. That is 185. That's correct. Now what I have to do is I have to just copy my formulas and I get all the values. So it is that easy. So now you understand how the offset function works. Let's check for some value. Let's check for Jacqueline term 2. So Jacqueline term 2 was score was 70, 80 and 50. Let's see. 70 plus 80 plus 50. We get to 200. That is exactly what we are getting through the formula also. Now, in this formula, we understood how to use reference, rows, and columns. Now, what about height and width? So, we will do it now. So, let's say there is a scenario where we want to return the term 2 and final exam score for chemistry. Now, what do? We say is equals to offset. Take Aditi as your reference, A3, comma. I don't want to move my rows. I just want to move my columns. So column is 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. The fifth column contains a term 2 score, comma height. Height was the number of rows you want to return. So I have to return score for all these five students. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Return me 5 rows from where you have reached, comma width. Width says the number of columns you want to return. I want term 2 score and the final score. So I say 2. Return me 2 columns. I hit enter and I get the score. Okay. I think it should have been 6. Yeah.